Unit 22.
Listen to the passage and answer the questions. The city of Washington, the capital of the United States of America, is located in the District of Columbia, D.C. for short name. Many people consider Washington, D.C. to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. The city was named after George Washington, the first president of America. The city is filled with many parks, wide streets, and impressive buildings in the center of the city, in Capitol Park. Visitors' eyes focus on the Capitol, where the Congress is. The Capitol is in the very center of Washington. It is located on the Capitol Hill, the highest point in the city. The Capitol is the highest building in Washington. There is a law in Washington not to build buildings higher than Capitol. The cornerstone of the Capitol was put down by George Washington on September 18, 1793. Many tourists come to Washington, D.C. to visit the White House as well. It is the greatest attraction for many of them. The White House is the official home of the U.S. presidents. Other landmarks in Washington, D.C. include monuments to 3 presidents: the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Monument, and the Jefferson Monument.
Unit 25. Listen to the passage and answer the questions. Hot springs are natural springs which produce warm water. Usually these springs produce water that is at a temperature above the human body. The water is heated naturally. The water comes from close to the center of the earth. There are hot springs in many places all over the world. Some of these hot springs are not so hot and people can have a bath in them. But some hot springs are dangerously hot. If a person tries to take a bath, they can be seriously hurt or they may even die. Yangpahan hot springs in Tibet, in East Asia, are famous examples of hot springs. In particular, they are famous because they are the highest hot springs in the world. These hot springs are 4,500 meters above sea level. From these hot springs, people can see beautiful views of mountain ranges. There's a resort there that people can visit. At this resort, there are 3 hot spring pools that people can use. The natural water in these pools is cooled so that people can take a bath comfortably. The original temperature of the water is 70 degrees Celsius.
YouTube'da derslik PDF ofis.
Unit 28. Listen to the passage and answer the questions. The flower Xarı Bülbül, after which the collection was named, grows only in Shusha. The shape of the flower looks like a nightingale. Xarı means bee and Bülbül means nightingale. If you look at the flower closely, you can easily see 3 leaves spreading in 3 different directions. 2 of them are like wings, and the 3rd one in the middle is shaped like a bird's head. There are 2 stories behind the name of the flower. Some say the flower is named Xarı Bülbül because when looking closely at the flower, one can see a close similarity to a bee or a bird. In Azerbaijan, the flower is still used as traditional medicine. It's a symbol of Azerbaijan, Shusha, and Karabakh. The Xarı Bülbül is featured on the front side of the Azerbaijani 20-manat currency dedicated to Karabakh. The Azerbaijani population of mountainous Karabakh has always had emotional feelings for Xarı Bülbül.
YouTube'da derslik PDF ofis.
Unit 31. Listen to the passage and answer the questions. A webcam is a simple video camera which was attached to a computer, lets you capture still images and video. It is commonly used for video conferencing with software like Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, and other applications. Computer scientist Quentin Stafford Fraser found himself frustrated in his attempts to get a fresh cup of coffee. The problem for scientists was that the coffee pot was in the main computer lab. The researchers wanted to be able to see the coffee pot from their desks, so they could tell whether the pot was empty. That way, the researchers wouldn't have to waste a trip to their room for coffee before it was ready. The first strategy the researchers used in 1991 was to train a digital camera on the coffee pot and wired it to their computers. A specialized software allows the researchers to view the camera's images. This removed the need for any physical effort to check the coffee pot and avoided the emotional distress of turning up to find it empty.
YouTube'da derslik PDF ofis.
Unit 34. Listen to the passage and answer the questions. Muhammad Ali, original name Cassius Marcellus Clay, was a boxer and social activist who is universally regarded as one of the greatest athletes of the 20th century. Ali was born on January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky, in USA. He experienced racial discrimination firsthand. At the age of 12, after his bike was stolen, Clay told the police officer, Joe Martin, that he wanted to beat up the thief. Well, you better learn how to fight before you start challenging people, Martin reportedly told him at the time. In addition to being a police officer, Martin also trained young boxers at a local gym. Ali had a career record of 56 wins, 5 losses, and 37 knockouts before his retirement from boxing in 1981 at the age of 39. Ali was married 4 times and had 9 children, including 2 children he adopted outside of marriage. Clay joined Islam in 1964 and changed his name. He was also known for his brave public position against the Vietnam War. He refused military service and was banned from championship and boxing for 3 years during the prime of his career. In 1984, Ali announced that he has Parkinson's disease, but he remained active as a humanitarian and goodwill ambassador. Ali died on June 3, 2016 in Phoenix, Arizona, when he was 74 years old.
YouTube'da derslik PDF ofis.
Unit 37.
Listen to the passage and answer the questions. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born in Salzburg, Austria, where his father Leopold was a violinist and composer. Wolfgang, or Wolfrail, as his family called him, was a child of genius. He composed his first piece of music at age 5. He had his first piece published when he was 7. And he wrote his first opera when he was 12. By the time Wolfgang was 6, he was an excellent pianist and violinist. He and his sister Mariana, known as Nannerl, traveled all over Europe performing for royalty. When he grew up, Mozart moved to Vienna and tried to earn a living as a pianist and composer. But he had a lot of trouble handling the fact that he was no longer a child of genius. Mozart was still a musical genius, but after he stopped being a cute kid, people stopped making a big fuss over him. Back then, musicians were treated like servants, but Mozart didn't, and could not think of himself as a servant. Mozart was only 35 when he died. During his short life, he composed in all different musical forms, including operas, symphonies, concertos, masses, and chamber music. Today, he is still considered a genius.